When we look at success, we tend to only see the end picture, the glam, the shout, the appreciation. But we miss to see the sacrifice it took for one to reach at their destined plateau. I'm Treasure Colombe, and in the process, we're going to sit with professionals and successful individuals from different industries to look deeper in their journey, to unravel the wisdom, the lesson, and the grind it took in order for them to walk in their purpose. Come on this journey with us and discover some key tools that will help you in your process. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on the time that you will be watching this. I am your host, Treasure Colombe. Welcome to The Process. We are so humbled once again and privileged to have you tuning into this platform. We are hoping that these weeks have really, truly been impactful in your life, that it's been inspiring, that it's been motivating, that it's truly been life-changing. And if it has, I want to make sure that you subscribe, that you like the videos, comment, and hit that bell button so you don't miss any of the conversation that we have lined up. This next one is a very heartfelt conversation that we're going to be having this month. As you may or may not know, the month of April is Autism Awareness Month. And this evening, this day, we are having a wonderful guest that will talk to us about what autism is. We'll go deeper into it, understanding and gaining more information, and also learning about different ways to be able to support the initiatives that are taking place within our communities in order to help those who are dealing with its family, children that are affected and dealing with autism. So it is my great honor. It is a sister of mine. This is really family, this day that I have on our platform, to have my sister join us to be able to talk more on this topic. So without further ado, I want to welcome my sister, Françoise. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. Oh my God, this feels so real. I'm doing good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
No,
Yeah.
it is our pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. I know we're going to dive into a couple of things. I know you're very busy putting certain things together and with all the different hats and responsibilities that you have. But let's start there before we get into our topics. Why don't you let our viewer knows who is Françoise, what does she do, where is she from, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
All right. First of all, thank you for the privilege to be able to come here and share. I've always wanted to be part of this show. Like from the moment it started, I was like, you know what? One day I'll make it. Hey, mom, I made it. So it's like I've always wanted to be part of this show. So my name is Françoise Lola, but some people call me Mrs. Lenga after my husband. I am a mother of three. Um, I am an educator, early childhood educator. I'm also a founder of La Grande Famille, and I'm a Congolese by origin. I was born in Congo. I came in this country my young adult. And yeah, so I am the founder of La Grande Famille, and basically that's what we're here to talk about. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And you got me to our first question already. It's a great organization that I know you run, and I want to do justice. Tell us, what is La Grande Famille? What is the organization that you run? What does it do? What is it about? What are some activities that it runs so we can get some more information on that? What is La Grande Famille?
So La Grande Famille, as you may just know, the name itself, it explains everything. It's just a big family. La Grande Famille is a non-profit organization founded since 2021. We started our activity back in 2020, but we cannot really claim that for legal purposes. Our main focus is to bring education to vulnerable children. Um, for school, we sponsor children in orphanage, different orphanage in the Congo. Not everywhere in the Congo. So far, we've just worked in the in Matadi and Kinshasa. God willing, we'll be growing up, going all around the country. In the same aspect of bringing education for vulnerable children, we wanted to do something here at home, because as much as we have the charity aspect of La Grande Famille, we wanted to be able to bring something services here at home with what the needs that we know we can touch on, that we have more experience in what we can do. So that was a project that was back of the head for quite some times now. We're just trying to think of way to bring it in, introduce it in, and yeah. So other than the charity, we now have a different project under the same organization.
Amazing, amazing. And that's such an amazing work. We know that there's a lot of children back home, that there's a lot of young people that are misplaced and really, dealing with a lot of difficulty just from the basic needs and
Mhm,
being able to get that support. So that's so amazing that you guys are doing that great work. And like you said, that, you guys are now starting to launch here. And as I
mhm,
mentioned a couple minutes ago, this specific month, it's a particular month here in Canada.
mhm,
In which we are bringing awareness on the topic of autism
mhm,
and really right away, even when I was preparing ourselves for today's interview, I was like, wow, there are really a lot of, for lack of a better word, lack of information or understanding
mhm,
in what autism is, right?
mhm.
Many have a negative connotation to it. Many just oblivious to really what it is, how it
Mhm.
impacts people, or what effect that it has within
Yeah.
children or those in our communities. So I wanted us to take time to begin to talk about that
Yes.
tonight. So if you would help us, really starting us off by what is autism? When we hear that word, simply what is it, and are there different types of autism that exist? Just give
Mhm.
us a little bit of information on autism.
So I'm not a professional in this, and to respect those who take time to go to school and study the profession, I'm going to read in my notes on my research. Autism, as known, is a spectrum. It's called autism spectrum disorder. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects the brain development.
Mm,
There's no one type of autism, as you hear it. It's a spectrum, so it affects one person differently from another. So we
mhm,
cannot specific say, oh, these are the category of autism, because
mhm,
someone, you may look at someone and may not know at all if they're in a spectrum, and you can look somebody based on the knowledge that you have. You may say, oh, this person might be in a spectrum.
mhm,
You cannot confirm that also if you don't know if the person has been diagnosed or not.
mhm,
So 1 in 5 boys are diagnosed with autism. It's mostly known in boys than is in girls.
mhm,
And it's not a race thing. It's not just for black people. It's not just for Asian. It's not just for white. It's like it can be anybody,
right.
anyone can have autism, and then it's not something that you grew out of it, because you hear some people say, oh, it changes with age, or it's a different it's a different autism, or it's a different case. There's only different needs in everybody with the spectrum. So one person may not be social, one person may not be verbal at all, one person may not be um intellectual, like may not have a really good ability intellectually. Someone may be a genius, like you give them a math, or you give them anything and they just, they break.
Mhm,
So it's vague, it's broad, not vague, but it's it's amazing how an autistic mind is, and even researchers, even those who take time to study and try to understand, until now they cannot conclude exactly, like they cannot give a final point to what exactly is autism and how it
Mhm.
affects
Mhm.
one to another. So yeah, basically that's a little bit of what I can share about autism. So if you want to hear more about it, and then stay on the conversation, and then you hear
Yeah.
more. The
And that's so true. And just in the small research that I was doing, kind of
Yeah.
like you mentioned, there's a spectrum of it,
Mm-hmm.
and the how one can function, it really,
Mm-hmm.
it varies, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Looking at it, I was seeing that there are athletes, you
Mm-hmm.
know, there are autistic, there are big business people. I read Elon Musk,
Yeah. It's
Mark
autistic.
Zuckerberg. Um,
Yeah.
there are many prominent people in the world that
Mm-hmm.
have a form of autism. So because it's so
Mm-hmm.
prevalent in our communities, and I know you said we're not professionals, but just from an
Yeah.
educator standpoint, and maybe
Yeah.
helping a family member or somebody
Mm-hmm.
who may be having some questions, what are some symptoms that can often kind of indicate that, okay, there may be something here, this
Mm-hmm.
person may be autistic? What are some symptoms that we can identify in people, or that parents can watch for? Because I know generally
Mm-hmm.
it's at an earlier age,
Yes. Yeah.
not a
Mm-hmm.
child is autistic. But from your experience, just as an educator, what are some
Yeah.
symptoms that can kind of give that indication for parents?
Um, so yes, again, as an educator, we cannot diagnose, or we can only redirect parents to professionals when we see these signs. So usually, some most of the case that I've experienced myself, it is a delay in language. What I've experienced, but some people may also be really ahead of themselves. So there's a delay in language, and there's a photograph memory, as they say. So like a child with that might be in a spectrum may have a vivid memory about something, and they have a repetitive behavior. So if they like to come in a certain time, or they like to come out a certain time, wear certain things, it has to be exactly like that. And
Wow.
then if they're experiencing delay in language, because a child of 18 months must have a certain amount of words that they already know, that they can communicate. And
Mhm.
then when after that age you see that a child cannot make a complete sentence, or there's not a receptive conversation, or you're trying to have a conversation with the child, and then he's not responding to the conversation, to the question, or the picking words in what you're saying, that means somewhere somehow there's a little bit delay in the development. And as we just spoke, autism is a developmental disorder, so there may be a delay somewhere there in the brain. So, and some of them are not social at all, may react differently in different environments. They don't they're very sensitive to noise, very sensitive to texture, very sensitive to different food. So there's a lot of signs,
Right.
but you cannot necessarily say, okay, so this child is this, they might be this. But as a parent, when you see that your child, there is some concern, or there's some delay, or there's some repetitive things that come constantly, you always like to want to know, seek
Mhm.
professionals, and want to be like, okay, what is happening here? And then from there you can go see the professionals, and then follow whatever advice that they may give you.
Wow, wonderful. And you mentioned that the statistics say that it's at least one out of every five
Right.
child that
Yeah.
dealing with autism.
Yeah.
And why do you find, when I'm thinking about that statistic, I mean, it's still fairly small number when you kind of think of it in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
right? One
Yes.
out of
Yes.
five. But why do you think there's some of the misconception around it, right? Why is there a lot of negative kind of perception when it comes when someone hear the word autism automatically thinking, oh, this is it. My child has an issue, grow up, do this, and
Yeah,
all of that. I've seen
yeah.
in some parents it even gets them afraid and really disappointed and falls into depression. Can you talk a bit about some of those misconceptions? Because you also
Mhm,
mentioned, because a child is autistic, it doesn't mean that they
mhm.
are limited from being
Yes.
able to excel. But why is there some of those misconception when we talk about autism?
I think, f- honestly, now that I know more about it, or I'm around children with autism, or even youth or adult,
Mhm.
and then knowing my community, I cannot speak generally, not to everybody, certain people. I think it's ignorance, and then it's also, when we see, because, and then again, autism is not a mental disorder, or it's not a mental health. So
Mhm.
when I think when people hear autism, they automatically attach it to like a mental disorder, and
Mhm.
then it's like, you know, you don't want your child, or you don't want your brother or anybody to have a mental disorder or mental disability, and then
Mhm.
you feel like, okay, why me? Why is this happening? So I think at first, is fear, but also ignorance, and just because compared to in my experience, compared to other people, because I've spoke to parents, and then I'll be like, oh, parents come to see me, and then they tell me, oh yeah, my child received a diagnosis, and then he's in the spectrum, he's autistic, with a smile on the face, and then it's like, at least now we know, so we know where to go, so we know how we can help, you know.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
compared to us, it's like, we're going to start praying. We're going to rebuke every spirit of autism. We're going to bind. We're going to reject. We're going to reverse. We're going to evoke heaven. We don't want it. And
Mhm.
then that's where anxiety and depression comes, because
Yeah.
you're fighting with something that is beyond your control. and
Mhm.
and, and I would say it's ignorance and just lack of knowledge,
Mhm.
for every parent or every person that you sit in a doctor's office, and then they start telling you that these things, instead of being in a defensive, first
Mhm.
it's just,
Mhm.
take it in, do your own research, go about it, and then see how you can respond to that, and then how you can help your child or your brother or your sister, anybody, with the spectrum. Well, until it's not diagnosed by a
Mhm.
professional, it could be something else, it could be just a delay,
Mhm.
it could be something in delay. So to come back to your question about why is it such a big pill to swallow in our community, I would say it's just because of lack of knowledge, like not knowing exactly what it is, and
Mhm.
to like, we associate to something that it's not, because we have an idea that it may be physical, or it's something that, you look at it, you see it, and then people usually just don't like disabilities. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And that is so true. You said something that's so important.
yeah,
That I know from a faith perspective, we don't like to touch on this a lot, but
yeah,
unfortunately, we often want to go right into
hmm,
assessing that there is a spiritual cause of some sort, and though there can be, but that it's not. It's usually the first place people go, and
hmm,
not understanding as well that one, we are all made unique. We're all made
hmm,
differently.
yeah,
And the process and the path that is laid before us
hmm,
just different, right? So from one
yeah,
person to another, it won't be the same thing. And the
yeah,
challenges that one might face versus
hmm,
another may not
hmm,
necessarily be spiritual, right? Some, like you said,
yeah,
it may be environmental, it may be just be
hmm,
learning
hmm,
development, it may be
yeah,
simply be it that burden that they have to
hmm,
endure, but that's not the
yeah,
end, right? They're going to
exactly,
be, and I love you saying get the information, because I
hmm,
think big piece. I think parents sometimes can
Yeah.
right away just get afraid, get
Hmm.
worried,
Yeah.
and you can have teachers sometimes, unfortunately, try to
Hmm.
diagnose, and then
Yes.
it
Yes.
that fear in the
Hmm.
parent, and then the parent doesn't go out and get those information that they need. So that's
Yeah.
really important to always seek out professionals, like you said,
Yes.
that
Always.
can do that. Oh, amazing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I know that Grande Famille
Hmm.
has a big heart about helping kids in general,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
like you said, now is focusing here
Hmm.
in Canada on addressing different issues that relates to kids. So what are the initiatives that La Grande Famille is taking when it comes to autism to help with the ignorance, to help with
Hmm.
providing more awareness and support?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're gonna start with awareness, creating awareness to bring awareness about autism, and some people may listen to this video and then be like, okay, but why are you talking like this? How, like what, like in what ground you talk? I'm talking as a parent, and I'm also talking as an educator, and I can permit myself to say I'm talking as an autistic mother, because you always have to go with the child first and then the mother. One of my children is in a spectrum, and then I have been there, so I'm talking with experience. So, and uh, bringing awareness with autism, it's close to home, and also because I have seen a lot of I have been so frustrated in so many cases, in so many ways, when I see and then I want to speak and I want to react, and then I'm like, you know what, maybe it's not my place. Maybe I can't. Just because people don't have the knowledge and they don't want to be educated on the matter. And honestly, even to bring the awareness about autism in La Grande Famille, it was at first, it wasn't even my idea. It was my husband's idea,
Mhm.
because I was invited once to give an opinion on the inclusion matter, when it comes about inclusion with children with special needs, as a mother and as an educator. What was the challenges that I had to go through? And then I gave my interview, and then the interview was posted in the site of this organization. I'm not gonna mention it. Um, and then I was talking to my husband about it, and then later on, and then he's like, "Oh, you know what? That could be something that we can maybe introduce in La Grande Famille going forward, because the way you give the interview, it looks like you have more knowledge about it." And I was like, "Oh, we'll see." That was last year,
Wow.
and I was like, I will see. Just
Yeah.
because I know the amount of work that may take, and then the way people will receive it. And
Mhm.
then it's just like, we'll see, we'll pray, we'll see how it goes. And then fast forward, I think this particular one came knocking at the door. So in the beginning of the year, we received a message from I'll allow myself to say Sisters in Sync, the founder herself, and then wanted to know if we have any activities that we're gonna do in this year. And then they were looking to sponsor other organization to run activities, and I was like, oh my God, this is
Mhm.
amazing. So, and then from there we're like, okay, so we sat down, my team and I, we sat down, and then we started brainstorming, go around, and like, okay, we have a sponsor, so it's not like we're gonna have to go look for funds. We have a sponsor, so
Mhm.
what can we do? So then we started putting information down, and then go around and trying to establish what we can do. And then knowing that April is Autism Awareness Month, and then we'll be like, okay, here we are.
Right.
So then we want to bring awareness, we want to bring acceptance, and we want to talk about inclusion. We want to
Mhm.
be able to make parents understand that you have a saying, you have to advocate for your child, for the youth. You have to speak for them, because they may not have the ability to speak. You don't want to wait for them to be older and tell you, why didn't you help me? Why
Mhm.
you knew that I was different? Why you knew that I had needs? Because kids with special needs, we call them with special needs. Why you knew I had special needs? Why didn't you do it differently? I have an 18-year-old now that is in university. There's questions that she asked me. I mean, she doesn't have any special needs, but she comes to me like, why didn't you do this when why didn't you do this? And then in my defense is, I didn't know better. I didn't have knowledge. So we want to give that knowledge to the level that we can, so that parents will not have that excuse when the kids ask them. So yeah, we want to bring knowledge, and we want to bring awareness and acceptance, especially acceptance, because
Yeah.
that's something, yeah, that we don't
And
have in the community.
that's so big, and I think you're so right, and that's how you begin to tackle ignorance, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
you begin to, especially in some of our immigrant communities, you
Yeah.
begin to address taboo topics, right?
Yes. Yes.
So what could parents expect that that want to attend the event? When will it
Mm-hmm.
be? Where will it be?
Mm-hmm.
And what do they expect around the event itself, so that somebody listening to us maybe have been having questions,
Mm-hmm.
concerned to get more understanding on it for themselves, for their
Mm-hmm.
child, for their family
Yeah.
member. What could they expect at the event, and where will it be, and what will take place?
So the event is gonna be in Hamilton, Ontario. We're gonna host the event at Gaswork. Gaswork is art and community educational place. It's gonna be on a Sunday from 2 in the afternoon until 5:30. They will be professional ABA analysts, teachers, Autism Ontario, some resources from Autism Ontario, so that I can give parents avenue, like why you can do, what to start. Med, because some medicine doctors, uh, yeah. Some doctors, they cannot diagnose autism. They have to be a developmental pediatrician. So not even a regular pediatrician can diagnose. It has
Oh,
to be a developmental pediatrician, yeah, to give a diagnosis.
right.
So that too is a long process, to go from your physicist to a pediatrician to a developmental pediatrician to
Mhm.
receive a diagnosis. So we want to be able to just educate parents and be like, this is the process that may take. But as soon as you get to there, at least you know better. And then from there, there's more. Honestly, there's more knowledge that you can acquire. There's more stuff that you have to do as a parent.
Mhm.
So we'll have as many professionals as we can, so that they can bring that information. And then we'll also have teachers that talk about inclusion and what parents need to know when it comes to inclusion, like the decision of putting your child in an environment that is that accept inclusion is your responsibility, and then things have to be explained to you in a way that you have to understand. So we just want to bring awareness and bring enough information to people that will come, so then when they leave, they know that, okay, I can do that. And then moving forward, God willing, we want to be able to do this every year, so then people can have more information, and then be more educated, and just make it easier for community to have more information on this. Yeah.
And is there a cost to the event? How do folks get themselves registered? Is there a seat limitation? Or where can people go to
Mhm.
get the tickets? If there's tickets, how do people register themselves to get all the details for the event?
We don't have any registration requirement to attend the event. The event is free. It's gonna be maybe you're gonna share the link later on the event. So the event is, as I said, it's gonna be on Sunday on the 21st from 2 to 5:30. free of charge. All we want is your presence, as many people as possible to come. And if anybody has any question after watching this video and have any knowledge and they feel like they need to contribute, they need to share, they can always contact us. They can always come to us and share it, and then we will see how we can put it in our program. Because honestly, two heads are better than one. The more information we have, the better. So no need to worry about registration fees or any kind of fee, at least for this event. Maybe next one.
Yeah.
for
Oh,
for
yeah.
charity purposes.
Oh,
Yeah,
and that's amazing because
yeah.
sometimes, like we said,
Mhm.
just getting the information can be such
Mhm.
a tough and a difficult
Yes,
process for many
yes.
people. So just the fact that people can access this
Mhm.
information, that is extremely amazing. And
Yeah.
definitely for those watching, in the
Mhm.
comment section, we're going to make sure all the details are there where you can go link the address of where the event's going to take place and all of that. It will be
Mhm.
extremely beneficial for you. And
Yeah.
now I'm going to ask you this: with the event taking place, um,
Mhm.
for parents who are going through this process, it can feel very lonely. And I
Mhm.
know you mentioned being an autistic mother, and I love how you did that, sort of putting emphasis on the value of the child.
Mhm. Mhm.
What are some supports that exist for mothers at the event? Is there going to be some avenues, or what are avenues that mothers can research, parents,
Mhm.
fathers can research that can
Mhm.
help them as they navigate through some of these changes if they have to deal with that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we'll have some resources for the parents that have children in the spectrum, for them to just feel like, some knowledge. Because it can be, no, it can be overwhelming at times. It can be as if, it's hard. And we'll do our best to have enough information for the parent, not necessarily mothers, just parents, uh, that will come to the event to try to know, where to go, what you can do, enough information to kind of just make it more easier on parents, to go about this. And what I can just say to any parent, with with children or even youth in the spectrum, it's like, you guys are rock stars, like you're superheroes. You have no idea how strong you are, because it's not easy at all to go through what you go through. And I know it's not a burden, and then I want to encourage somebody to just take it not as a burden. It is a privilege, because an autistic mind, it's amazing how, how they function, how they behave, how they develop, how, it's like you will never be bored with an autistic child. Like every single day it's a new challenge, it's a new knowledge. It's like, and
Yeah.
sometimes it can be overwhelming when you don't know what it is. And I just want to encourage every parent, every mother, father, you guys are doing the best. You're doing the most best work. Keep on doing it. There is a reward at the end in heaven for you, because I believe, like, God does not give us something that we cannot handle. And then
Mm.
if that child was born into your family, into you, under your responsibility, God has a plan. God has a plan, and I want you to be encouraged and just take it with honor and not as a burden, and just do whatever you can to make
Mm.
sure that, your child is exceptional, or and then grow up regardless of what diagnosis they may have, what the label it may be, whatever it is, that, it may be different, because, we don't want different. But because you accepted it, and then you give all the knowledge that you could, there
Mhm.
is a reward for you at the end. So
Amen. Amen. I
yeah.
like that there is a reward at the end. That's amazing. I'm really hoping it's encouraging somebody because
Mhm.
sometimes the responsibility of life can feel like a burden.
Mhm.
And like you said, our purpose come in different formats. They
Yeah.
come in different formats. Some of us are going to be given a mic to stand on a
Mhm.
stage. Some
Yeah.
of us are going to
Yeah.
be giving businesses. Some of us are
Mm-hmm.
going to be giving a husband, a wife, and some of us are
Yeah.
going to be giving children to tend and to care for.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's really the purpose. And every parent should know that, like you said, it's a
Mm-hmm.
privilege.
It
It's a privilege
is.
to
Yes.
be counted,
Mm-hmm.
capable, and knowing that they can do it well. Thank you so much for that word of advice.
Thank
And we're getting
you.
close to the end of our
Yeah.
conversation. How can folk maybe volunteer? Is there opportunities for volunteer the day of the
Yeah.
event? How can they volunteer? And if they do want to volunteer, where can
Mm-hmm.
they reach out to you or your
Yes.
team to
Mm-hmm.
connect for that purpose?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're actually recruiting volunteers. So if
Mhm.
anybody wanna volunteer, they can follow us on IG at Les Grands Fitiers, or they can email us at admin@lagrandefamille.info, and then just mention whatever subject you want to discuss, and then we'll reach out. We need about 20 to 30 volunteer, and I think that's a quite number. We have few right now, but we want to have more volunteer to the event. And again, if anybody just want to support in whatever format they want in a way, just reach out, and then we will appreciate. We'll be glad. We'll be glad.
Wow.
Yes.
Listen,
Yeah.
guys, this is it. I know from
Yeah.
ministry standpoint and us, all of us will definitely
Mm-hmm.
be supporting. These are the type of initiative that needs to be
Mm-hmm.
supported. So if you're in
Mm-hmm.
a community, you're in Hamilton, and you're
Mm-hmm.
looking to for the support, and you want to do something great, it's on the 20th, right? We said of April
21st. Yeah.
on the 21st, and you want to be a
Yes.
part of something great in the community, definitely reach and connect. See all
Mm-hmm.
the information on the screen and in the comment section, and be there. We
Yes.
need to add more light, to add more information, to
Mm-hmm.
help more family members, to help more kids. As we say, our kids
Mm-hmm.
are our future, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have to continue to invest in
Mm-hmm.
helping our kids and in bettering our kids. And as a final question, I know you
Yeah.
spoke some words of life to parents who are
Yeah.
dealing with autistic children, but kind
Mm-hmm.
of just looking at Autism Month in a general, what is a message you want to launch out maybe to the community, that you want to launch out to folks that will be tuning in and watching in to hear
Mm-hmm.
about this month? We said it's an awareness month. So
Mm-hmm.
what is the message you maybe want to share to those who may not have a child who's autistic, but
Mm-hmm.
still live in the community, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes our biases and
Yeah.
ignorance kind of causes us to cause more harm, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, so what is a word that you would want to share with our
Mm-hmm.
community,
Mm-hmm.
specifically this month as we highlight autism?
Yes. So yeah, again, the purpose of the awareness month, even like in general, is to end stigma and then to bring acceptance. You may not be a parent with an autistic child. You may not have a brother or sister or a friend that is autistic, but you hear the word autism itself, or you come up around autism. Take a break and ask question about it, or go online and try to find. Obviously there's not all necessary information online, but if you hear about it and then you see about it and then you don't have any idea what it is, ask, or want to know, research, so that way you're not in the side of stigma, and then so that way you're not on the other side of be like, oh, it does not concern me, so then it's not my problem. Because you don't know who you may encounter on the street one day. You don't know which parents you encounter on the moment of breakdown, going through that tough moment, so let's be a community that can encourage one another, that can support one another. If a matter is not close to heart, or you don't necessarily know about it, but just be a good citizen, be a good Christian, be a good individual, and educate yourself. And this is what we're doing in this month. It's about bringing awareness, bringing education and acceptance. So yeah, that would be it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Françoise. And really, thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing, both here and in
Mhm.
in the countries that are in need, back in Congo and Kinshasa. We really wish your organization all the best,
Thank
and we
you.
know the event is going to be extremely successful. Once
Thank
again, everybody who's tuning in, listen, even if you're far away and you want to be a part of this great work,
you. Mhm.
reach out to all the information that's on the screen and connect yourself. Right,
Yes.
the advancement and the work of the kingdom
Mhm.
begins in the four walls, but it extends to our community, and
Mhm.
this is how it extends to our community when
Mhm.
kingdom people are stepping out and they're making a difference. So I encourage all of us, especially
Mhm.
this month, I encourage us, step in and step up in any
Mhm.
way possible, right? Every dollar counts, every
Yeah.
reshare counts, every tweet counts,
Yes.
your support, your time, and your energy counts. And even just
Mhm.
gaining more information for yourself, that
Yes.
counts as well.
Mhm.
Let's gain more understanding and let's share this awareness to help our
Mhm.
communities, our families, and our children to
Mhm.
continue to thrive. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Françoise. It was such
Thank
a
you
privilege
so
for us,
much.
to
So,
have you, and we look forward. La
thank
Grande
you.
Famille is always available, so anytime
Yeah.
there's something going on, we look forward to have you
Thank you
back
so
on
much.
this platform. I know there's many more topics that we'll be
Mhm.
able to dive into. So thank you so
Okay.
much for today, and we'll
Thank you.
talk real soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Take care. Wow. And I again just want to reiterate to those who have tuned in today, we are a community. And like we say, it takes a village. For anything, it takes a village. And we are all in the journey of life together, right? It takes each other to be able to make a difference. You might be saying, what can I do? What really is my impact that I can bring? And our guest just told us your impact can be just your presence on that day. Your impact could be your support financially. Your impact could be the resources that you can provide, you volunteering, because it does truly take a village. Great things begin by people connecting and coming together and saying, we are going to do something about the challenges that our community and that our children face. And I believe, especially this month of April, where we are discussing and diving in awareness for autism, what a better time to demonstrate the heart of God, to demonstrate the love of God, to demonstrate that heart of a good servant, one that cares about what is matters to those who are part of God's agenda, to step up and to step out and to do our part. I'm encouraged to know that everybody that's a part of this platform watching this episode, that you will take the time to do what is in your ability to do so that we continue to bring awareness to the topic of autism. Until next time, may God keep you. May his grace and his mercy rest over your life. We'll see you again next week for another great episode. It has been your host, Treasure Kalambe. Take care.